Hey kids, welcome to the garage. Today we're going to be talking about a game that is not actually in early access, which is the point of this part of the show. We talk about things that are in the garage that are currently being worked on. But in this case, this is a game that is being worked on. However, today's game, Phobolis, I'm going with Phobolis because that sounds right in my head. Hey kids, Future Ranger here. So after the initial cut of this episode, I sent a preview, the same preview I sent to my patrons and members on YouTube. I sent said preview to the devs who made the game, and they informed me of a couple of things that I maybe got a little wrong. Number one, the name of the game is pronounced Phobolis, not Phobolis, so it's Phobolis and not how I'm about to butcher it for the rest of this episode. And also, the devs on the game collectively are a group called Infrablack, not just Amon26, who I list and incorrectly state is the sole developer going on here. Amon26 is the lead developer on the project, but it is not just their work and their work only going into this. I actually had a really great conversation with them about the inspirations for the game, such as GoldenEye, Daikatana, Time Splitters, Medal of Honor, Chasm, how they're trying to make the art rock version of the heavy metal style boomer shooters you see out there. They cited specifically King Crimson and Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile as the atmosphere that they're trying to go to with this game. Anyways, just wanted to let you all know that. So basically everything else that I say in this video is still all viable, but it was really great to be able to connect with the devs about the project after, kind of butchering it only a little bit. Anyways, I gotta go. Phobolis is an indie horror shooter that is currently, in an alpha state at the moment. There is a small demo that you can get on itch.io. Again, with the pronunciation there, is it itch.io? Does anybody else in their head think of it as itch.io? Because I always think of it as itch.io. Everyone says itch.io or itch.io. I think it's itch.io to me. In my head, it's itch.io. I don't care if it says itch.io. It's itch.io. So I'm going to call it that, and none of you fuckers can stop me. I got off track. Where was I? Anyways, Phobolis is a horror shooter that is in an alpha state with a small demo that is currently available on itch.io. Oh, wow. Now saying that doesn't sound right. itch.io. And it's from developer Amon26. So this is a really interesting, from an aesthetic perspective, shooter title. I mean, you're watching the footage right here, and what you're seeing is no mistake. That is presented in 4:3 aspect ratio. This is running at 30 frames per second. Like, I'm not going to re-render this so it comes out at 60. This is a game that is intentionally set to 30 frames per second. You can see the scan lines and everything. Like, this is meant to invoke old like CRT VHS-esque style technology. It's very intentional, and it feels like the N64 horror game that I never really knew that I needed. You know, it's like a combination of Hybrid Heaven and Daikatana mixed with a little bit of like Hideo Kojima mentality going on. There's so much going on in here that even like trying to draw comparisons to other games feels wrong, because this is such a unique beast and it is so much of its own identity that Phobolis just is. It is, and I'm so intensely enraptured by it. So, to give you a little bit of history on the premise of the game, it takes place, let me read from the itch.io page. A surreal horror adventure taking place within the Phobolis, a purgatory superstructure hidden in the deep woods for all who have lost themselves. You play as Moment, a mysterious character that has, by merit of your participation, made the choice to enter its gates in an effort to reach the top and be free. So we've got a weird, mysterious city located deep within the forest. We've got like a grimy sort of techno, not quite cyberpunk, but I feel cyberpunk. Cyberpunk has just been sort of relegated to dark, gritty, and neon lights, but that's not necessarily cyberpunk. This I would say has very cyberpunk-ish, but like also techno body horror aspects to it. But the neat thing about this sort of nightmarish city where these people find themselves is there is no death here. So, let's say you're playing Phobolis, you're running around, you're shooting at things, your health gets a little too low, and you die. You get murked. Well, there's no reloading a save or a checkpoint. You just appear at one of the many, many gates and doorways that you have traveled to, which are all invisible checkpoints in and of themselves, and then you race back through the city. But here's the twist. The body that you left behind has now become reanimated as a soulless, screaming entity that will now try to kill you just like everything else in the game. So, I didn't read that part when I first booted up the alpha here. I played through the game. I was real nervous because I was like, man, I don't know how long this is. I don't want to play through this whole thing and then, get to a certain point and die and have to start the whole fucking thing over because I was sure that there was no save points in there, right? Well, imagine my surprise after playing through the alpha twice in a row, and this is very short. It's only 20 minutes long. Imagine my surprise to read that when you die, a copy of yourself gets left behind. So I did an entire run knowing that to see, just like, try and stress test it. Like, how many copies of myself can I make? And, oh yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I think I got up to 4, but they were all like, they were getting in the way of like other enemies shooting at me. So then they were dying because of that. But it's a wild concept, and this whole game is really, really unique, even at this early alpha outset. The aesthetics here, the story that it's trying to tell, which I mean is inscrutable at this point. It's a 20-minute alpha. It is billed as a surreal horror shooter, and it is very, very surreal. The symbology at play here on display is really intriguing. We've got a lot of feminine iconography. There's like femme presenting imagery, statues, faces, bodies, voices. The character you're playing is femme presenting. So that there's a lot at play there. There's a lot of crucifixes. There's one moment in the demo which had me reeling, like fucking reeling, where you're trying to unlock a series of locks to get through a door, and when you do, you are no longer in the Phobolis. You are suddenly in what I believe is like a memory, and it's all normal. It's an apartment. And if there's any doubt, just from watching this footage, about the surreal horror nature of this game, in one of the most scary, sequences that I have experienced in a game in a really long time, you go investigate the apartment, suddenly the lights go out, there are faces staring at you from behind a door. It sounds like there's breathing directly in your ears. You go down a hallway. There's a face and a mouth, and man, I don't want to even surmise yet what's going on, because I feel like I'm just gonna get it wrong at this point, But I am on board. I want to see this game come to fruition. The enemy designs here are masterful. Like, I'm getting a lot of Masahiro Ito vibes, the guy who did all the designs for Silent Hill. I'm getting a lot of vibes from that in the best possible way. It feels so adjacent to his work that that's the best possible comparison I could come up with. And again, I don't want to create comparisons to other works while I'm talking about this, because, it feels like such a disservice to a game that is wholly within its own identity. Amon 26 is crafting something really special, really fucking special here, and I cannot stress enough just how weird and wild and dreamlike and staticky and grimy and uncomfortable this game is to play in all the right ways. Like, gunplay feels very smooth currently. The enemies have a good amount of variety. I really like the weapons. Some of the weapons have an interesting, like, the explosions that they generate have a weird rainbow colored mix. And that again harkens back to my N64 comparisons that I was making a little bit earlier. You know, back in the mid 90s to early 2000s when we were discovering colored lighting for the first time on consoles and just using it in everything. I fucking love that shit. Phobolis as an alpha test is, you know, a little bit raw, a little bit rough. There are a few things that I have like minor criticisms of, but it's hard to have criticisms of an alpha. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I would signpost certain gateways and entrances a little bit better, because some of them at the moment are literally just black gaping voids that you're meant to walk through, and then it transitions it transitions as a darkened hallway, and then it brightens up as you transition from level load to level load. And I think a few of those could be signposted a little bit better to let you know that you're supposed to walk through them. Because as it stands currently, some of them just sort of are like so blended into the background that I didn't even understand it was a gate or a tunnel that I was supposed to walk through. I just thought it was darkness as a part of the background. But I'm like, this is hitting me. This is hitting me really hard. You know, I see the crucifixes all around the Phobolis, which are then mirrored in the apartment that you go into as a part of the dream sequence. There are those faces that I was talking about inside one of the rooms. Those faces appear throughout the Phobolis as well, and there are moments where you'll pass by them and you'll hear these whispers coming at you from all around, and it's very unsettling. This was a very unsettling game, but one of the more intriguing things about games that are this type of unsettling is that they usually kind of take away your agency, where you feel very powerless. You feel very helpless in games that are unsettling like this, because they're designed to make you feel helpless. Here we have a horror shooter, which is very much designed to make you feel unsettled, but the weaponry, the gunplay, the shooter aspect of the game gives you enough agency as a player, as a character, to feel like you can push forward enough despite being as unsettled as you are. But you still don't want to. It's really hard to talk about. It's really hard to describe the exact feeling that this game is giving me. I'm a big fan of survival horror games. Like, I cut my teeth on Fatal Frame, Silent Hill, Siren, Rule of Rose. You know, like when survival horror was in its infancy and experimenting and getting weird and doing all kinds of cool shit. That was what I cut my teeth on. I like more psychological versus visceral. And this is definitely going for psychological, but it is couching it in a very dreamlike, surreal environment. And this is a game to look out for. Now, there are a few things that we need to discuss about the game, which is, you know, not bad, but it is something that is topical. Currently, this alpha build is made with Unity. And we all know how Unity has been fucking up lately with their policies, and they've lost the trust of so many developers. And it is just an unfortunate situation, but that's not what I'm here to talk about, so I'm not going to get too deep into that, because if you're here, you probably already know the bullshit about Unity. That being said, Amon26 is already reworking the game, in rebuilding it in Unreal Engine, which is great. Development had kind of slowed for a little while, you know, a little bit of creator burnout. They were very open about that, very upfront, but they're back to working on it. And Phobolis is very, very much getting back underway and getting rebuilt in the Unreal Engine. I'm very happy to hear that. When the whole Unity fiasco came out, there were a couple of games off the top of my head that I could think of that made me go, oh my god, I hope those games still get made. I can't imagine being these developers and hearing all this news about Unity, and next thing you know, they're like, well, maybe we're not going to make our game in Unity anymore. Maybe we don't have the ability to make our game the way we want to anymore. And I genuinely think it would be such a shame if some of these very intriguing and amazing looking games, which are, at various stages of production, are unable to be made because of developer fears. I don't know how, game engines work and what it would take to port or to transfer files and textures and whatever from one engine to another, but I know that it's not easy. So when I decided to boot up Phobolis as part of Spooky Month to do a garage video on it, that was right when the whole Unity shenanigans began. And I saw that this game was being built with Unity, and I'm like, oh no. But fortunately, I follow Ammon26 on Twitter, and I've been keeping up with the development of this game. Been keeping up with it for a while, actually, because this is so intriguing. This is such an interesting game. And in this alpha build, which if you want to play it, and I highly recommend you do, because there is an unnameable quality to the sensations that this game is serving right here. It is on itch.io. It is $1. And why is it $1? Because you know what? Fucking developers got to get paid. $1 for an alpha test is this to help support the development of this. You can name your own price too. You can name your own price, and I would say fucking get on the ground floor and help this developer get this game made, because this is so solid. It is dreamlike. It is unsettling. The combat is very solid, very good, and it keeps you on your toes. It never feels difficult. It never feels like you're going to die at any moment. You feel very much in control of the situation, but at the same time, it also feels like that is a bit of an illusion. It's hard to say. Phobolis has so much going for it. This alpha is so good. The weapons are great. If anything, my last criticism, the shotgun, I would love to hear the sound effect on the shotgun be a little deeper, a little heavier, a little bit punchier. Because all the weapons have really good sound effects, especially the pistol. But at the moment, the shotgun just kind of sounds a little weak. But that's fine. It's an alpha build. There's so much time to work on this. I cannot stress enough. Go support this game. Go and follow Ammon26 on Twitter. Go pick up this little alpha build. It's $1. It's $1. $1 fucking dollar. It is so worth it. Play through this. Play through it a couple of times. It'll take 20 minutes, maybe 40 if you decide to look through every single nook and cranny and look at every single statue and every single piece of iconography and symbology. If you want to stress test it and die a whole bunch of times and see how many copies of yourself. The potential for that, by the way, dying over and over again in copies of yourself, fucking mind-blowing. Fucking mind-blowing. Anyways, kids, thank you so much for joining me in the garage. It is Spooky Month, and I am so excited to be here for it. I have a couple of different videos that I'm doing. I'm hard at work on editing my review of El Paso Elsewhere. Forgive Me Father 2 is coming out later this month into early access, so expect a garage video on that. And I have a super secret, extra special Halloween video for you this year. It's going to be great. It's a game that I've never played before, but one that I'm very excited to finally actually get into. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and putting up with me mispronouncing itch.io. Make sure, sit up straight, roll your shoulders, get some water, stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time, kids. Stay safe out there.